Lori from Shoo Shoo Paper Art, and today I'm going to share how to make these cute sliding message cards. It says, I love you once, I love you twice, cause, and then when you open it up, the message slides, and it says, loving you is super nice. Isn't that cute? Let's see, this one is an Easter card. It says, somebody is sending you hugs. And then it opens, slides, and it says, Happy Easter. Isn't that cute? I think this is so fun. And it's really pretty easy to make. So let's get started. Okay, I'm going to give you the dimensions for these cards, and then I'm going to tell you how to actually figure out how to make a smaller or a larger card if you would like to. So the first thing you need to do is determine the size of your card, and mine are both 4 by 5.5. So let's start there. So if the card is 4 by 5.5, then you're going to start with the back piece, which is just the size of your card. So the first cardstock piece is 4 by 5.5. And this is a 120-pound cardstock, by the way. All right, so then from there, we can figure out this middle piece right here. And to do that, you're going to take the length of your finished card, which is 5.5, take off 1 inch, which is 4.5, and then double it. 4.5 plus 4.5 is 9 inches. So my next piece of cardstock is going to be 4 inches by 9 inches. My third piece of cardstock needs to be 1/4 of an inch shorter. Now I may need to adjust it a little bit when I get ready to put my card together, but that's a good starting point. So my third piece of cardstock is going to be 4 by 8 3/4. Okay? All right, so we're going to start with the middle piece, the piece that is 4 by 9 inches. So that's this one right here. And I need to score it in half. So I'm going to score it at 4.5 inches. So let me get my scoreboard here. Let me put in my paper, find 4.5. So that. Now for the third piece that I cut at 4 and 8 3/4, I need to score it the length of my card, which is 5.5. All right, so that's all we need the scoreboard for. I'll go ahead and fold that back. All right, now let's go back to the piece that I scored in half, the piece that's going to be in the middle. All right, this is where I'm going to start with the openings for my sliding message. And you can really use anything that you want to. This one is a square and this one is a circle. You can even do something a little more decorative if you wanted to. All right, so let me get the die here. What did I do with it? There it is. Okay, so I'm going to determine where that needs to be, and I'm going to give a little bit of room on the edges there and tape that on and then run it through my Big Shot. Now I'm running through 2 pieces of 120-pound cardstock. So basically I have to run that through about 4 times and then turn it over and run it through a couple of more because I want those to be in exactly the same spot. If you have a little bit lighter cardstock, you might be able to do it on, you know, a couple of passes. So once I get that ran through, then it's going to look like this. Oops, got an extra piece there. It's going to look like this. Okay, die cut through both pieces. Okay, from there we need to die cut the top piece so that it will be exactly the same as this piece. Now the inside piece and the top piece are going to line up with each other on the right hand side. So I'm going to open this up and lay it on top of my top piece and slip my die cut right inside there, and I can tell when it's kind of in the right place, and go ahead and draw a circle. And this is going to help me get my die cut right in place on my top piece. I just cannot go through 3 layers on my Big Shot. It just doesn't work really well. So I'm going to line that up there and tape that on, and then go and run it through Big Shot. All right, and after that's ran through, I will have a piece that matches my inside piece. And we'll just kind of double check and make sure that's true. Okay, that looks good. All right, so now we actually could put the card together right now with the pieces that we have, but I have a few tips to make this easier to put together. So the first thing we're going to do is stamp the sentiment on the very back piece of paper. Now this is the sentiment that's going to show through on the top of the card. The first thing that they're going to see when they hold the card is the sentiment that is on the very back page. Now, it doesn't have to be a sentiment. You could also do sliding pictures if you wanted to. But in this case, I'm doing a message or a sentiment. So I'm going to take my back piece, and these are all going to line up on the right-hand side of my card. So I'm going to stack those up, and I'm just very lightly going to draw the circle so I can stamp my sentiment in the right spot. Okay. And through magic, I already have one stamped. It says, "Somebody is sending you hugs." And that is from the Somebunny Stamps and Dies from MFT. All right. After I've stamped that in the location that I need it to be, I'm going to go ahead and erase my pencil circle there so that there's no chance that I'll have pencil marks showing through. Alrighty. Now that that's done, let's look at the construction of the card again. Now, if you're not going to do anything on the front of this card where this inside, can you see that, that inside fold might cause a problem, then you can go ahead and put the card together right now. But if you are going to do something on the front, for example, I have some distressing blending there, that fold underneath there, especially at 120 pounds, would probably show through. Now, I didn't have any trouble. I decided to stamping later, so I didn't have any trouble doing that. I just kind of rocked my stamp back and forth a little bit to make sure that it came through. But with that blending, it really does show. So let's go ahead and do that part of the card. Let's see here. Okay, so this is my front right here. And I'm going to use a stencil that I just made from one of my old square dies. Okay, and lay that here on the front. Okay, right about there, I think. And I'm just going to use my painter's tape to hold this all down. Some Spun Sugar Distress Ink, and I'm still using these brushes that I got from Amazon. I'm really enjoying them. They're working really well. I'm pretty happy with these. Okay, and I'm just going to sponge on some ink using my die, and I'm going to start here at the bottom. I want it to be a little heavier down here and just completely fade away at the top. got the spun sugar on. I'm going to go ahead and take this off, and we can go ahead and put this card together. We're going to start by gluing together this middle piece here onto the front of the card, and we're going to glue the complete face of this middle portion to the front of the card, and we're going to line up the opening, the right hand side of the card. Make sure that these die cut openings line up and that it lines up completely with the opening or right hand side of my card. Okay, next I'm going to go ahead and put the back onto the card, and remember we've already stamped that, so I want to make sure that all lines up. Now to get the back attached to this set, I'm only going to put glue right along the right hand edge only, and just, you know, a little line or two to attach it to that middle portion of the card. All right, so this is my middle portion here. This is what I'm attaching to, the back of the middle portion. Now once that's attached, I need to make sure that this little piece here is going to be the right length, and I may need to cut a little bit off if it extends into my sentiment area. So I'm going to slip it in between the back and the middle section of this card. All right, now I need to see if I can see it there. I can't, so I may not need to cut anything off of this card. But when I open it, I need to make sure that it slides all the way over. Perfect. Yes, it covers up that sentiment opening completely. Okay, so now we need to stamp in the sentiment that's going to show when the person opens the card. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and do the same method that I did before. I'm going to make the outline there of that die cut opening so that I be sure and stamp it into the right spot. And to make this easier to stamp, I'm not going to stamp with it in this position. I'm going to go ahead and close, oops, I caught that into the wet part. Okay, don't do that, wait till it dries. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close the card back, and then go ahead and slip this portion out and turn it over. So now I've got a little flat section here to do my stamping. Let's see, I'm going to stamp Happy Easter, and that is from Easter Friends by Pretty Pink Posh. So let me stamp that on real quickly. Finished one, I actually have let's see, some hearts and things as well, but in the interest of time we're going to move on. Okay, so that portion now I'm ready to erase the circle because I don't want to chance any of that pencil showing on my finished card. Okay, and then I'm going to need to slip that back into the middle of the card. So that when it's opened, you get the sliding message. Okay, very cool. All right, the only other thing that I'm going to show is these little blue bunnies. They are so fun and so sweet. I'm going to show you just on one of the images what I used to get these little blue bunnies. These are, let's see, the stamp set is Hippity Hop from Mama Elephant. These are adorable little bunnies. And I decided that instead of doing a traditional bunny, that I wanted to make blue bunnies. I guess I just kind of think that might be fun to have a little blue bunny. So let's do this little guy here. He is stamped, or they're all stamped in Memento London Fog. Now I didn't want a no line for these, and I wanted the gray to definitely show. I was looking at some drawings the other day and I could see the pencil lines still in their drawing, and that's kind of what I was going for with these little blue bunnies. So I started out with an NO. Let's see, find my NO, there it is. And just, oops, wrong end. Just kind of outlined, can you see that there? Okay. Just kind of did where some shadows would be, and then outlined the back part of his little head. So there, in that ear and along the bottom part of that ear, around his little head and down his back, thinking about leaving some pencil lines. There underneath his arm and on the top of his arm where some shadows might be. Okay, then I took the BG10 and basically just flicked the color on, really not covering up that gray that I just put on, just kind of starting from that gray, going into his little arm there, and then just a little bit there on his tail, and then that edge there on his ear. And then came back in with some BOO and did the same thing, not really covering up the gray, and not going as far with that color either. Back over with some BG10. Okay, then I kind of forgot his little ear there. I'm gonna go over that. His little feet. Okay. Then I came back in with some N2, a little bit darker gray. Oops, keep doing the wrong end. Okay. And then going back over, kind of where I put that lighter gray, just for some emphasis. And then back in with that NO again, just to make it a tiny bit softer. Then I gave him some little cheeks with RV10. Goodness. A little ROO over the top of that. And then I wanted his eyebrow, mouth, and nose to be a little bit darker. So I'm using this Staedtler Triplus fine liner. Now I don't think they have, well, they may have numbers, but I don't see a number anywhere on it. This was a pack of 36, and this was the lightest gray that was in the box. It's almost like a pencil in color. So I went over his little eye and his mouth and his nose just to give those a little extra emphasis. And then I came in with my Prismacolor PC938 and just soften those areas a little bit that I'm leaving white. Belly and his tail, right around that edge there. And also putting in a little highlight maybe there at the top of his head. Okay. And then that flower is so small that I also decided to use a light green Staedtler pen, excuse me, to also fill in the stem, and then I just colored the flower with Copics. So let's go back and look at the finished cards again. This one, these dies are from Sizzix. I actually had to find mine on eBay. I had seen them and I couldn't find them anywhere, so I looked into a set with a little frame from Paper Sweeties. There's some stenciled in plaid there on the front with the Tim Holtz stencil. Inside I've got some more MFT stamps, and that's about all on that one. And the little bunny one. Let's see, the border there is a MFT stamp stitch scalloped edges. Some little pink gingham. And I've got maybe my mommy bunny there and little baby bunny, giving her the flower. And then I have more of the little bunnies inside. And then for the little banner, I used my Staedtler pen to make the little poles there that the bunnies are holding on to. All right, so these are really fun cards. I hope that you make your own sliding message card. Thank you for joining me. And remember, you can always find me at shushupaperart.com.